All right, we move from the intro to ecology, big picture perspectives on ecosystems, to some more specifics on particular ecosystems, which we'll call a biome. Biomes are regional ecosystems, such as a desert or a tropical rainforest, that evolve based on primarily its rainfall and temperature patterns, but also some soil effects as well. Let's take a look at what a biome looks like. Biome is a major geographical area with ecologically similar communities of plants, animals, and soil organisms. We refer to it as a very large ecosystem. They're defined based on factors such as plant growth, whether it has more trees, shrubs, or grasses, leaf types, is it more broadleaf or needle-like leaves, plant spacing, how far apart the plants are, and other factors that exist. Examples are deserts, rainforests, grasslands, etc. There are four major biomes we'll look at in this class. This unit looks closely at the desert and the grassland biomes. Here's a picture of the major terrestrial ecosystems or biomes on the planet. This week we'll look at the desert biome, uh, here in the American Southwest. We'll look at the grasslands as well as the tropical grasslands, and the purple here in Africa, and the temperate grasslands as the American Midwest and much of Eurasia. This is probably a test question. The factors which create the biome are largely, temperature and rainfall, but also availability of sunlight and soil type. Let's start with the desert. If you close your eyes and imagine what it feels like to be in a desert, what do you sense? Hot, dry, windy? Perhaps. Let's take a look and find out. So hot and dry to be sure, at least most of the year. Look at the temperatures in the desert in Egypt, up around 90 to 100 degrees on average in the summer months. Certainly warm, but it can be cooler, particularly at night in the American Southwest, for example. And it can experience heavy rainfall, but for very short periods of time. Mostly, we're talking about hot and dry. Deserts can be defined as where evaporation exceeds rainfall, not on an annual basis, obviously, but on a daily basis. Most days, the system is losing more water than it's gaining. It can rain in deserts, however. Deserts make up a large percentage of the world's land mass, about 25%. Have you ever been to a desert, perhaps in the Southwest? So, with less than 10 inches of rain per year, it means that there's less biodiversity in deserts than in other ecosystems. It doesn't mean, however, that there's no plants. Desert conditions are pretty severe, however, and the plants that do live there need to adapt to compensate for the lack of water. Some plants, like cacti, store water in their stems and use it very slowly, while others, some bushes, conserve water by growing very few leaves or having very large root systems to gather water from the soil. Some desert plants have a very short life cycle of just a few weeks that lasts following the rainy season. Deserts are actually growing on the planet due to human activity. Cutting of forests, pumping irrigation water, overgrazing with animals, sometimes air pollution, other human activities are encouraging these biomes to get larger over time. Let's turn now to grasslands, which are ecologically a bit more interesting. Grasslands are generally open and continuous, fairly flat areas. Grasses may range in size from as high as 7 feet tall to just a couple of inches, although in each case the roots may go quite deep. The height of the grass correlates with the amount of rainfall it receives. Grasslands that receive heavy rainfall tend to have taller plants. Grasslands are generally warm year-round. You can see here in Mexico, somewhere between 70 and 80 degrees. But rainfall may be quite variable. Maybe quite low here in this case in the spring months, and as high as 10 inches of rain per month in summer months. Grasses will often die back during those dry periods when there's not enough rainfall. A few trees may be found along stream beds, but are rare because of lack of annual rainfall. Well as often scattered wildlife. Um, Large trees are rare because there's not enough moisture during the dry periods to keep them alive. There are two types of grasslands depending on temperature. Temperate grasslands, such as the American Midwest, are often called prairies, and tropical grasslands near the equator are often called savannas. Tropical grasslands will have a wet and a dry season where the plants will die back during the dry season. Temperate grasslands have hot and cold periods in which the grasslands die back during the cold. The tropical grasslands or the savannas make up much of the warmer parts of the planet. Savannas are found in Central and South America, Central and South Africa, and much of Australia. Tropical grasslands are hot. It may have fairly substantial rain, 20 to 50 inches, depending on where it's at, but it's uneven, so there's always a dry period. And fires and floods um, and the drought will prevent trees and perennial herbs, shrubs from forming. Savannas and large herbivores have co-evolved over time. These herbivores depend on the savanna, but the savanna also depends on the feeding of the herbivores. Of course, carnivores eating the herbivores also exist. Temperate grasslands are also called prairies. Much of the American Midwest has the prairie has been replaced by farmland. Temperate grasslands make among the best farming soils in the world. You can see the American Midwest and parts of Eurasia have extensive grasslands that make for good farming. Because grasslands are so flat, they're ideal for large-scale industrial farming. Often we find monocultures of corn or wheat, barley, and oats. At one time, temperate grasslands would have covered about 42% of the Earth's land mass. Today, much of that is under farming because of its rich topsoil. Again, fires and drought in the temperate grasslands prevent growth of shrubs and trees. Most animals are burrowing types of animals, and very few carnivores exist in the temperate grasslands. Temperate grasslands have more extreme temperatures than tropical grasslands, more highs and lows. It's the rainfall is too light to support a forest, but too heavy for the grassland to go back into a desert. Periodic drought, periodic floods, periodic fires prevent trees and shrubs from growing as well.